right, New York Giants fans, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. It's Friday. I think we all know what that means when it's Friday. It's No News Friday. You know what? It's this time in February where like I said, I call it the silly season. There's nothing going on. You know, you'll have some trades. I'm saying there's nothing going on specifically Giant related. So we do No News Friday, where we talk about the non-news of the New York Football Giants. First thing I wanted to get into is, of course, the trade of Carson Wentz to the Indianapolis Colts. How does this affect the Giants? How does this affect the draft? How does this affect the NFC East? Well, let's see. It doesn't, and it still doesn't. Okay, Carson Wentz was a non-factor last year. We all knew he was not going to be in Philadelphia's plans. This has been going on for weeks now. We've known it. We know Jalen Hurts was going to be the quarterback next year. They moved him, of course, to Indianapolis. Indianapolis basically gave up nothing. They gave up a can of magic beans and maybe some pixie dust. You know, potentially it could turn into a first-round pick depending on his play. But for a quarterback potentially of his caliber, this could be a steal for Indianapolis outside the anchor of the contract itself. So basically all Philadelphia did is get out of that situation. They get out of the contract. They're in cap hell this year. They're not going to be good. They made a somewhat questionable hire on their new head coach. But you know what? It's not going to affect the Giants. It's not going to affect the Giants in regards to how they're going to approach the offseason. It's not going to affect the Giants in the draft. And really, it's not going to change anything for this organization. Now, the question is, what does it do to the landscape of the NFC East? Nothing. Because like I said, Philadelphia, we knew was going to be a bad team this year, or this coming up season. We still need to be concerned on No News Friday about the Washington team in Dallas, because Washington is going to be a quarterback away from being really good. And that's interesting because the quarterback's only a slightly important position. I mean, if you go by how the Giants seem to be trying to convince us daily how great Daniel Jones is going to be, you would think there is some importance to the quarterback position. So the only good thing is we knew they weren't going to trade Carson Wentz within the division. We knew that. So we got lucky with that. Matthew Stafford, of course, went away. So Wentz to me was the Goff, of course, was traded, in that swap. So to me, Carson Wentz was the other big domino that was going to fall. Now, I would be more concerned, and I talked about potentially Big Ben going to Dallas. I would be more concerned now about potentially Big Ben going to Washington. That would muck up the Giants' plans. That really would. That would screw up. That type of trade would actually screw us up in the division because you're putting a quality quarterback. And not that saying that Alex Smith is not a quality quarterback. No, I'm not saying that. But you would put a quarterback with more potential to be a hindrance to the Giants' progression in Big Ben than you would with Alex Smith. So that I would be more concerned about. But like I said, I could see Ben going to either Washington or Dallas. Now, I had an interesting question that came up from a subscriber, and he was basically saying, what happens if a quarterback falls to the Giants? Or falls to the Giants at 11. Now, if we do a breakdown of the board, you figure you got Trevor Lawrence probably going number 1. You maybe have Zach Wilson or Justin Fields going 2 to the Jets. I still got Chase going to Miami. I think Atlanta may grab a corner if they don't grab the quarterback. I think the big offensive tackle is going to go to the Bengals. I actually think Kyle Pitts is going to go to Philadelphia because my understanding is they're going to get rid of Ertz. They're going to try to trade him. I could see the Lions picking up that linebacker out of Penn State, and I could see potentially the Carolina Panthers picking up Trey Lance, and then the same thing with Denver Broncos And, I see Denver and Dallas probably taking corners, and that would leave the New York Giants. But what would happen if Trey Lance fell down to the Giants? If Trey Lance somehow made it, because I don't think he would get past Denver, but let's just say he falls down to the Giants at 11. What would the Giants do? Would the Giants be tempted to take this quarterback? And I'm going to say no. At that point in time, I think Gettleman would finally have the cojones and trade back into the draft. Because there are teams behind us who could use a quarterback. New England could use a quarterback at 15. Washington, we would never trade Washington, but they use a quarterback at 19. Chicago could use a quarterback at 20. Tennessee is out of the quarterback picture. The Pittsburgh could use someone at 24. So there would be an opportunity, and we would have an opportunity to trade back if something went like Trey Lance. I would be tempted to go after Trey Lance. I really would. But I think he needed another year of seasoning in college. I have a problem taking these guys who do not have an extensive resume in college, because we've seen it fail too many times, going back to Akebe Smith and most recently, of course, our buddy Dwayne Haskins. So I think he could have used a little extra time at North Dakota State instead of leaving after a sophomore season. But it is interesting, like I said, if he did fall down that far to us, I would be tempted in taking him if I was a Giants. But I would know that the smart thing would be to turn around and try to trade that pick and try to get out from underneath that pick and move back to get further assets. Because, to be perfectly honest, we need assets. And another part of non-news Giant Football Friday, Kevin Zeitler. The big talk has been, of course, releasing him and saving that cap space. But now the talk is potentially just extending his contract, which would allow us, to move some of that money and keep him on the team, because our concern right now as an organization should be the offensive line. Yes, I know everyone's complaining about the wide receiver and we need to get weapons for Daniel Jones. Come on, we have so many. That's me being sarcastic. But we need an offensive line. And do you really want to worry about what's going to happen at the left guard position with Will Hernandez? Are we really, we still have to worry about the left tackle position with Andrew Thomas? Cam Fleming, thank God, I think he's mercifully going to be gone. And I've said this before, the organization thought so highly of Nick Gates, they went out and got a center and paid him more in a future contract than you're supposed to, or you should. There's just too many openings on that line. And Kevin Zeitler, for all of his issues, has been a consistent performer for the last 2 seasons. And I'm not even saying he's got a lot of deficiencies besides the fact that he's only above average. But the problem is, if you extend him, instead of saving X amount of money, you're only going to save a little bit of money. You may only save like $5 or $6 million. And right now, we have a large amount of issues on the offense. The defense is, I'm not saying the defense is in fantastic or awesome shape, but I am saying this, they're a lot further along than the offense itself. I think consistency-wise, it would make smart for Gettleman to go after a wide receiver early in the draft. I do think we can find someone later in the second round. I don't think it's going to be one of those things that we need to pick someone up at 11. I personally think we shouldn't draft someone at 11. I would like to see the Giants go corner still at 11, or maybe even go towards a defensive end. But, it's the Giants. I'll laugh. They'll probably take that. Knowing Gettleman, what's his name? What's his name? Christian Barmore. He's the big defensive tackle. I think knowing the Giants, they'll trade back and pick him up. But I'm just saying, it's just one of those things that we can find a wide receiver later in the second round. But to find someone that can go along with James Bradbury, that's going to be what we need. I've said this a million times. We need a Batman. We need a Robin to his Batman. But that's what I think we need to look at. And like I said, I'm not worried about Carson Wentz going away. Good luck, Carson Wentz. Have fun. I think he's going to revive his career, ending back up there with Frank Reich. But I think as an organization, we don't worry about what other teams do within the division. We have our own problems to worry about. And I think that's the way, as New York Giant fans, we got to look at it. And you know what? This is going to wrap up the latest edition of No News Friday. And again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Giant sports talk and entertainment. And as always, if you could if you can subscribe, if you can ring that bell, you think of the means, that'd be awesome.